Balloon Beats.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Unhinged Live. As usual, I'm your host, Patrick Hennessy, joined tonight for the Yankees postgame by the man himself, Jay Lonzo. How are we doing today, Jalen?
Just sometimes you just gotta,
Sometimes you gotta just, That's kind of like the only way of putting it. Sometimes you just gotta roll with the punches, and we've been dealt kind of a left-right combo past couple days. It's been brutal, but listen, shout out to everybody currently in the chat. Before we get into any post-game breakdown, shout out to everyone. Let's take attendance/roll call. You guys know the deal. We got Lori, Matt, Yoelvis, Woj Tech. We got Daryl, Yoelvis. I think I might have said Yoelvis already, but whatever, Yoelvis times two. THG, we got LA Yankee King, Not So Family Fun Vision, Jordan, Stevie Bats, Michael, Bright. Who else we got? We got Sheepdog, Martin, Jacob, Steven, Diego. Who else we got? We got Sean, Padre fan. Who else? Give me one more. And we got All Rise. Shout out to everybody. Sorry if I missed anyone. But Jalen, this was yet for the second day in a row. Kind of a different heartbreaker in the sense of how confident we felt in the Yankees for this game. But still like another brutal loss at the hands of the Detroit Tigers, bro.
Yeah, the Tigers have been playing a little bit better since we swept them at home. So I did expect a little bit more of a fight than they displayed in the Bronx. But there's no excuse for losing a series, let alone 2 straight games to the Detroit Tigers. I don't care if you're on the road, at home, neutral site, in London, in West Africa. It doesn't matter. You should never lose to this Detroit Tigers team, especially with Game 1 being started by your ace that you paid $320 million. And he didn't even pitch bad. He gave up 1 run, 6 innings. Like, that game was obviously winnable, but your offense couldn't come through. And then today it was just like, it almost seemed like the guys didn't want to be there. And you can't expect
there was just no
fans,
fight.
Yeah, you can't expect at a certain point, and they're only 2 months. I mean, I say only very generously, but they're 2 months into the season. This is not October. They didn't do this in Game 4 of the ALDS, but it's getting to a point where it's difficult to ask fans to tune in every day for a 3.5-hour game, and the team almost just looks disinterested, and the coaches don't really make adjustments, and it just kind of looks like half the team doesn't really want to be there.
It's weird though, right? Because like we thought we were past this stage. We thought that like those April woes were done. Like usually the Yankees are just killing it by this point, and we thought that they were on pace for that, and now they're kind of just back to their old April ways. But let's take a look at the Yankees box score for today. Go through the offense real quick before we get into the pitching. But they did lose 6-1. Not that great of an offensive performance. Only 3 hits the entire day against Spencer Turnbull, and then the Tigers bullpen. So DJ went 1 for 4. Glaber went 1 for 3, and then Gary went 1 for 3. Those were the Yankees' only hits. Odor, the 2-hole hitter, Odor, he was coming off a 4-hit performance yesterday. However, he went 0 for 4 with 3 Ks today. And then Clint Frazier went 0 for 2 with a walk. Brett Gardner, your starting center fielder, went 0 for 3 today. He's batting 196 with a 526 OPS. It's literally getting to the point where you look up and down this Yankees order. I mean, also Mike Ford, the dude's batting 140. It's absolutely putrid at this point, the lineup that the Yankees continue putting out there. and just the results that we're getting from these guys, right? I mean, once you kind of get past that 5 spot, we're getting back to the issue of the 6, 7, 8, 9 hitters are practically automatic outs, right?
Yeah, and the problem is that this isn't like, yeah, we've been dealt with some injuries, but our main guys are there. Like besides Luke Voigt
and Stanton.
Yes. No, but I mean Stanton's back. Like he's here now. So the fact that he didn't sit he sat today, like what's really going on with him that he needs to sit one day after returning? That's an issue. But literally to me, like active wise, Luke Voigt is the only guy that's like a major contributor that's out right now as far as offensively. Aaron Hicks is a big blow, I guess, but like not really because he wasn't really performing. I know that he's a lefty, and that breaks up some of the monotony in the lineup, but really, if you look at the production numbers, you have Judge in there, you have DJ, you have Glaber, you have Gio, you have Stanton. Like you have all the guys that should be contributing, and with even like Judge is having a pretty solid year. Stanton, before he got injured, was having a pretty solid year. Glaber's been hot for the past two-ish weeks. Gio's having a pretty consistent year, and it almost seems like none of it matters because they don't hit in the important spots. They don't drive in runs when it counts, and like today we had bases loaded, nobody out, and I think it was the second inning, and guess what happens?
Yeah,
double play, only get one run out of the whole thing, and that's our run for the entire day. And it almost seems like that's a trend. Like that's the trend. If starting pitching doesn't give up 2 or less runs, then we have no chance. It's kind of frustrating. But I think we're at the point where the Yankees are obviously better than what they showed in April. They're not a below / like 500 team. They're better than that. Just because off pure talent, they can win games. They can literally just show up to the ballpark sometimes and win games off of the strength of them being more talented than the other team. But then you're going to have games like this where they're going to show up and expect to just lay down their bats and win, and another team comes out hungrier and with more conviction, and they're going to win those games. So I think we have to look at the Yankees for what they are and not what they have been in the past. We look at the Yankees as an inconsistent team with lackluster offense, if we're being honest, with star players that are not living up to their names or their contracts. And if they don't make a deadline acquisition or several deadline acquisitions, they're going to either miss the playoffs or be out in the first round, just like last year.
Jalen, that was quite the monologue. Damn, you went deep into this team. But listen, shout out to Micah with the $5 dono. Appreciate you. Boone needs to go. Offense already struggling, and he sits Gio and Stanton. Hitters are always behind in the count. Too many strikeouts. Now I don't think. Now, personally, you guys kind of know where I stand on Boone. I don't think he's the right manager for this team. Do I think he's going to go? Probably not. I think he's going to be the manager for the foreseeable future. However, if the Yankees want to shake things up, and I tweeted this out on our Twitter account, Unhinged New York. There you go. But if the Yankees want to make like an earth-shattering kind of impact on this team, you do one of a couple things, right? A, you could either call up a guy like Dietrich or Gittins, preferably Gittins. I think he would kind of be the best fit for the Yankees right now. Maybe he comes up and he's like a spark for this lineup. 2, maybe you trade for a guy who's going to make an impact on this team, like a Ketel Marte, or I don't know, like a Joey Gallo or something. I don't know, just someone that could inject some life into this team. 3, you fire Marcus Timms midseason. Like, what bigger message could you send to this clubhouse, this coaching staff, the organization as a whole, by firing your terrible, absolutely terrible hitting coach in June?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of ways that they could go about it. I just feel like the Yankees are so complacent being, and I don't just mean the players, I mean the entire organization, and comfortable with like this because their ownership looks at it almost a business rather than an organization that they're trying to improve. So they're always going to be in the spot.
Yeah. I'm going to be honest, I didn't really hear half of what you said because you kind of broke up a little bit. But based on like what I got from what you said, I definitely agree. Yeah, there goes Jalen. Okay. Moving on. Futai says, what do the Yankees do if they still aren't performing at the trade deadline? Listen, Futai, I think we've kind of gone over this so many times. Here's Jalen. Welcome back, Jalen. But so Futai kind of brought up, what do the Yankees do if they still aren't performing at the trade deadline? I'm going to be honest. We've talked about this so often, and I think it's kind of getting to the point where I still truly believe that the Yankees aren't doing anything at the trade deadline. I think that, kind of like you said, the organization as a whole has kind of become very complacent with where this team currently is. And I think they do look at a guy like Brett Gardner in center field, and they're fairly confident in him kind of taking over as the starting center fielder for the rest of the season. I don't think that they're willing to part with guys like Davy Garcia or Clark Schmidt in order to acquire like a top of the line center fielder like a Ketel Marte, because I think that they still have so much faith in Brett Gardner.
Yeah, it's frustrating because I don't know how much you heard before I
About
cut
half
out.
of it.
Yeah, I feel like the Yankees ownership looks at the team as a business, as a cash cow, and not. It doesn't really seem like he cares about making the team better at any cost. Like his main objective is to make sure at the end of the year, his he makes some kind of profit rather than him winning a World Series, whether it's been over a decade or if they went to the ALCS and got close, like in 2017. Like none of that really matters. It doesn't.
But my thing is like that's the definition of profit. Like winning the World Series is like the biggest incentive you could get from like owning a baseball team.
I'm with you, but I really just think that he doesn't have that competitive edge to him, which is fine. Like I don't need my owner to be, like a Mark Cuban in basketball where he's like at the games and like cheering hard and arguing with I don't care about that. What I care about is you putting the best interest of the team first, no matter what that means, because you're owning the team, meaning that you're willing to dish out paychecks to make a profit, not just a profitable business model. You're trying to make a good baseball team, a really good baseball team, especially being the New York Yankees. Like this is not the San Diego Padres where like if you guys don't win a World Series in 20 years, people are just like, oh, okay, like it's not really a big deal. Like this is the heat of the market where if you don't win, the Yankees fans are going to be on everybody's neck. So it's kind of putting everybody else in the organization in a bad spot. And somebody that I feel like gets the brunt of that is Aaron Judge, like guys like Aaron Judge, Gleyber Torres, where like they do their jobs and sometimes it's not enough because they don't have everything else with like supporting them to get it done, and we place all the blame on them. And at some point, you have to start looking from the problems at the root, and I think the root of it is at the top.
But that's my thing. I mean, right now, I get in the beginning of the season when the Yankees were struggling, and we would kind of come on here and talk kind of like pessimistically about them. But at the end of the day, we're like, well, this team's going to pick it up eventually. They're going to end up being very good. Now, I'm still like sticking with my point. I still think the Yankees are winning the AL East, and I still think they're winning the World Series. Call me crazy, call me delusional, whatever. But I think it's kind of getting to a point in the season where we can start to worry about this stuff, right? We can start to worry about how inconsistent this offense is. Simply because I bring this up all the time. I truly believe that the reason the Yankees haven't made it far in the postseason the past few years isn't because of their lack of pitching. It's because of their lack of situational hitting. And when they do go up against like decent pitching in the postseason, they always foil under pressure. And I think that's the issue. And they've still have yet to solve it. They still have yet to kind of solve the holes in their lineup and give the younger guys in the minor leagues a chance rather than going out there and re-signing 40-year-old Brett Gardner or bringing on a Jay Bruce or sticking with Mike Ford. Give these other guys an opportunity to maybe see if they could insert a spark into that lineup. And one guy, Jalen, I think you know where this is going. Trey Ambergy, bro. The dude was hurt. He's had an awesome season so far of what he's played in AAA. But he made his return today from the IL. And you know what he did? You know what he did, Jalen?
What did he do?
Look at this. Bang.
Love that.
Trey Ambergy, bro.
Trey Ambergy.
That's all I'm saying.
Friend of the show, Trey Ambergy.
Friend of the show, Trey Ambergy. This is what I'm saying, though. If you're going to give Ryan Lamar a chance out there, right? Because they did, if Ryan Lamar didn't get hurt, he'd probably still be on the roster. No joke. So why not give a guy like Trey Ambergy that opportunity?
Listen, Pat, love Trey Ambergy, and I love that he's a friend of the show. Love him raking in AAA right now. My thing is just like we have been so like deprived of what we deserve as fans and what we tune into and make all this content for, and that's like, full throttle going for it, like how the Padres are, how the Dodgers are, like that type of conviction of trying to win a World Series, and we've been deprived of that so much that we we like scowl Twitter for AAA highlights to see who can really save this franchise, and it's kind of depressing because maybe Trey Ambergy could be a better option than Brett Gardner, but we shouldn't even have to be forced to look at that. Like, we've had the
I'd agree.
opportunity to plug these holes before with real, like, bona fide MLB perennial all-stars, and we've just said, nah, like, we'd rather just, like, shop in the bargain bin and just kind of, like, pack it in. And if it's enough, it's enough. And if it's not, then we'll just hope it is next year. This is basically the same team since 2018. Like, besides Garrett Cole, and obviously that's a huge ad, and he's been amazing. We love him. But besides Garrett Cole, this is essentially the same team since 2018. Like, you have a couple guys slotting in and out, but you still have Aaron Judge in right. You still have Aaron Hicks in center. Brett Gardner still plays an awful lot. DJ LeMahieu was a big ad, but Luke Voigt was our first baseman pretty much 2018. Gio is now up. He's been up since 2019. Gleyber Torres is still on the team. Gary Sanchez is still our catcher. Our bullpen is essentially the same, and like all the problems are still the exact same. So, at what point do we say this formula is not working? This current formula is not working. And I hate to be dramatic just because we lost 2 straight to the Tigers, because obviously we just had a great series against the White Sox, and that's but that just perfectly encapsulates. Is that a word? Or perfectly like
encapsulate? No, I think that's a good word. Encapsulates.
It sounds good.
Sounds good. Yeah.
We'll roll with it. That perfectly encapsulates the Yankees, like how inconsistent they are. They can show flashes of being the best team in the American League, and we can say, like, no one's beating this team in 4 games in a 7-game series. They're just not, with how the pitching is, especially this year. And then they can go to Detroit and look like they don't even want to play baseball anymore. So it's a problem that is probably not going to get addressed this year, at least. So I'm almost at the point where, like, I want them to miss the playoffs. It's still early stages, but like, if this continues, I almost want them to miss the playoffs so that they can be like, oh no, there's a serious problem and we need to fix this.
Yeah, I hate to say that too, and like, we've kind of mentioned that so often, right? The only way the Yankees are going to kind of realize that there's a problem with the current construction of this roster and the coaching staff is if they miss the postseason. That's the only way.
That's how I felt last year. 2020, we it was a weird season, so it probably wouldn't have even mattered. Like, they missed the playoffs, they probably would have just blamed it on, COVID season, because I don't know if you, bro, I'm sure you remember, because we were, on live every single day, how bad the Yankees were.
No, terrible.
In certain stretches in 2020, and we were almost like at a point where we were not going to make the playoffs.
No, yeah, but there was the excuse then. You had excuses that were kind of reasonable, right? 1, it's a 60-game season. 2, there's no fans in attendance, so like, they don't feel the same. 3, the whole league was struggling. 4, half the team was injured. But now, what excuses do you have?
There's none.
The only excuse I've heard is that offense is down around the league. Okay, but I don't want to be compared to the Detroit Tigers, because you look at the names in the Yankees lineup, they're supposed to be performing 10,000 times better than, name someone, Harold Castro,
Nico Goodrum. Yeah.
Like, this is what I'm saying. Like, Jonathan Scope should not be demolishing the Yankees.
Yeah.
It just shouldn't be happening, bro. It's so aggravating. And it's really getting to the point where the Yankees organization is just it's making me feel weird, bro. Like, the whole thing with Justin Wilson last night, right? Why was Justin Wilson even going in for the save in that game? That's a completely ludicrous decision. Second of all, the fact that today, you literally put Justin Wilson on the IL with a right hamstring strain. We all know that that's BS. Come on. If anybody in the chat genuinely thinks Justin Wilson's injured, I have a bridge to sell you. They literally just threw him on the IL because they know that he's not going to be pitching for this team anytime soon, and they wanted to bring up Abreu simply because they knew Devi wasn't going to be giving them length today. It's as simple as that. So this organization is just really starting to piss me off. I think everyone's starting to get a little bit pissed off because, like you said, like, we saw that really bad stretch at the beginning of the season. They turned things around. They swept the White Sox. They won 10 straight series, right? Or they won 6 straight. They didn't lose 10 straight, something like that. And now you go up against the Blue Jays. You completely collapse to a guy making his MLB debut. Shout out to Alek Manoah, by the way. He's a dog. No pun intended. But second of all, then you walk into Detroit against a Tigers team who you swept in the Bronx just a few weeks ago, and you're getting demolished. The Yankees, okay, now I'm scooting back in my chair so you know it's serious. The Yankees got demolished by the Detroit Tigers today. Demolished, bro. They got 3 hits. the definition of bad. That's all.
Yeah,
I'm
it
gonna say.
doesn't even look like, and the problem is not the score, right? Like they could have lost this game way worse. It could have been 15-2, and it would have sucked. But the problem is that there's just no effort. Like it's not. It
Yeah.
doesn't even look like they're trying. They look unfocused. They look lazy. They look like just disinterested in playing baseball every day, and it's frustrating. Like I said, I keep going back to this point. Is like, as being a Yankee, the big thing is like the fans, right? Like the home field advantage at Yankee Stadium, how the ratings are, and all the stuff that the fans do, and like us being the 10th man on the field, all that extra stuff. It's great, but you can't keep expecting Yankees fans to sell out Yankee Stadium and doing all this great stuff when it almost seems like the Yankees don't care themselves. So
Fair. It's definitely fair. I mean, listen, if we kind of look at the let's look at the American League leaders in OPS, right? That's a pretty decent category. The Yankees are currently ranked ninth, right in between the Rays and the Rangers. Oh, well, Jalen's gone again. Well, that kind of sucks. But if we look at the Yankees offense, it's really not good whatsoever. They're currently one of the worst in the American League as far as that goes. Here's Jalen back, I guess. He's loading. But let's take a look at some of these chat comments. Let's see. Ricky says, I knew that dummy Cashman would re-sign Gardner. I said to myself, they love him so much. But chat, let's not get one thing mixed up here, right? Brett Gardner obviously not having a good season whatsoever. Welcome back, Jalen. But at the end of the day,
yeah, I think Hal Steinbrenner is trying to shut us down.
no, yeah, this is like the definition of censorship, but like that's fine. It seems like every time I mention Brett Gardner, it seems to go to trash. So I don't really know what's going on. But someone brought up the fact of Brett Gardner, right? And I feel like a broken record continuing to talk about him, but I'm not obviously putting the entire offensive blame on him because there's so many guys in the Yankees lineup who aren't producing. But I think he's kind of the only guy in this lineup right now who the Yankees could have avoided going into the season without, right? Like there was no, especially after seeing his season last year, there was no reason to bring the dude back. If anything, you could kind of look at the Brett Gardner role as one position that you could really take to improve the roster substantially, right? Because we looked at the Yankees kind of lineup and roster construction this offseason, and we were like, it's so impossible for this team to significantly improve just because they have so many spots that are locks, right? Luke Voigt's at first. Once you bring back DJ, he's the second baseman. Glaber at short. Gio at third. Gary at catcher. Then you have Hicks, Judge, Clint in the outfield. That fourth outfield spot / like platoon left fielder, center fielder, whatever, you could have taken that opportunity to actually acquire someone who would be so valuable to this team. And they didn't. They really dropped the ball on that.
And you want to know the worst part about all of this, Pat? Is Brett Gardner signed a 2-year deal.
Oh, I know. No, he's back next year too. So it's not even like they can improve their outfield depth this offseason because they always have in their back of their mind that it's Gardner. You know what I mean? So that's what really pisses me off. And I know we laugh all about like how much Pat hates Gardner, but it's not even like hating Gardner. It's so justifiable at this point that it's so obvious that Brett Gardner is not good enough to be an everyday center fielder, especially for the New York Yankees, a team that's looking to win the World Series this year, that anybody who's still kind of like holding on hope for him it's just a nostalgia factor, right? And it's kind of like he's worse than Jeter was towards the end of his career, bro. Like if we want to kind of go down that road, and he's kind of being treated the same way, like, oh, Gardy's still our guy, whatever. Listen, shout out to Jesus Chavez with a $2 dono. Appreciate you, Jesus. Who saw Talkman rob Pujols for a home run? Yes, Frazier sucks. He always has to end off a donation with that. But, bro, Talkman robbing Pujols was a beautiful catch.
Yeah, he did something similar in Baltimore. Like that's his spot. That robbing the home run left field. I'm not going to get too deep into the whole Talkman thing, though. I've said my piece. I don't think he had a.
Bro, I wish we could have a guy like him. We could really use a guy like that right now.
We could flip like Wandy Peralta or something.
No, yeah. I don't know why. I could just imagine like Wandy Peralta, like he would look so good in a Giants uniform. Also, bro, Mike Talkman would look awesome in pinstripes.
Well, he'd have to shave his beard though.
No, yeah, but like I think he would look fine. Like I don't think it would be that big of a deal. I don't know. Maybe hopefully the Yankees like wouldn't utilize him so poorly, right? And like keep him
Yeah.
blocked by a 36-year-old outfielder.
Well, there's no way that they would,
No,
put him
no chance.
behind the depth chart, behind Aaron Hicks and Brett Gardner. There's no way.
No, there's no shot. I mean, even behind Miguel Andujar, there's literally no way. Because if the Yankees did acquire a guy like Mike Talkman, right, you would assume if they had him this offseason, he would be their fourth outfielder coming into the year, right?
At
I mean, a
least.
guy like him.
And if like Clint Frazier would struggle, he'd probably get some opportunities, I'm assuming.
Yeah. No, for sure, bro. For sure. I wonder how many people in the chat are like, no, like they're so right. Like this Mike Talkman guy seems really good. At least one. There has to be at least one. But listen. Shout out to Martin. He says, bro, Pat, that unhinged hoodie is fire. Thank you so much. Like I got to get that. Good job on that hoodie. Link in the description. Anybody who wants to buy merchandise, unhingedclothing.shop, go check it out. But Jalen, we have a big but here. Yoelvis says, plus it's not like Hicks gets injured all the time, right, Pat? But that's what I'm saying. It's kind of like it's not like Aaron Hicks gets injured all the time, but like this is a very rare occurrence. So now that it's happened and you weren't really prepared for it, then you acquire a guy like Mike Talkman.
Yeah, and he would just slot in, and it's almost like adding insurance when you don't need any, because why would you need any insurance for Aaron Hicks never gets injured, Aaron Judge never gets injured. No. Giancarlo Stanton, if you need Giancarlo Stanton to play the field, he can, obviously.
Oh yeah, no, obviously.
And Miguel Andujar is so well equated, or what's the word I'm looking for? He's transitioned. Yeah, acclimated. He's so well acclimated to left field now. We have the outfield covered. So
no, and Clint is the definition of consistency, bro.
No, he's gonna be an all-star, bro. He's gonna. If I told you before the season he's gonna hit 30 home runs and potentially make the all-star team, you would have believed me. So
no, it's crazy, bro. And Brett Gardner, bro, that dude has a cannon in center field. Like, if the game's on the line, I don't want anyone else out there besides Gardner.
Well, he's a power hitter now. That's the best part about his game. His game has evolved so much that he went from like this scrappy, left-handed pesky batter.
Bro, he's like Barry Bonds.
Now he just abuses the short porch. Like that's why we probably didn't go after Bryce Harper, because why would we spend so much money on Bryce Harper when we have Brett Gardner already? He's already a Yankee.
Exactly. Bro, he uses the short porch so well. You might as well rename the judges' chambers to like Gardy's Garden. Like literally just name it that. Yeah,
I love that.
But listen, shout out to Jesus Chavez with the $2 dono. Appreciate you, Jesus. Let's trade Garcia and Frazier. What is the hate for Devi? Like, Devi literally didn't have a bad start today. I know it wasn't the best, right? But for the most part, he kept the Yankees in the game.
I don't hate Devi, but I am not opposed to trading him for somebody that can help right now. I mean, like, I think he's going to be a good player, a good pitcher. I mean, but like, I don't think he should be like untouchable by any stretch. I think his trade value is still at a good point where like you can trade him this trade deadline and like as a make him a pivotal piece in a deal. Like if the Nationals wanted a Devi Garcia back as like the main piece or one of the main pieces, I'm doing that. But like, yeah, I don't think he should get the hate. It's not his fault.
No, yeah, bro, he's also very young. But however, I think if the Yankees continue to like misutilizing him, it's going to diminish his trade value significantly. And they do that with every guy in the organization.
That's what I was going to say. They do that so much. Like, I'm not of the belief that like major league experience is bad experience. I think there is some cases where like guys are obviously not ready and you don't want to like diminish their confidence or anything, but Devi has performed in the majors already. Like, I know it was a weird 2020 season, but he already knows he can pitch in the major league. So just wasting him in AAA is not really going to do anything. That doesn't get him experience. He's just facing AAA hitters all the time, and then he's going to come to the major leagues and he's going to have that period of shock where he's facing real major league hitters again, and it's a lot better than the AAA hitters that he's been facing. So if anything, I think he needs more major league experience. That'll help him get ready, not continuing to face 22-year-olds that are trying to make a major league roster. That just doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
Like, here's my thing.
Same thing with Florio. Like, Florio, he needs more reps. He needs more experience. That I understand, because they believe he needs to be able to hit the curveball more or off speed and adjust to off speed. I understand that. Get him more at bats, every day at bats. He's not going to get that in the major leagues right now. But Devi, like, what is he doing in AAA? That doesn't make sense.
Yeah. And listen, speaking of Devi and AAA, the Yankees did just announce that him and Albert Abreu were both sent back down. Shocker. I don't know how like all this roster construction stuff works. So the Yankees just sent 2 guys down, right? So who are the 2 that are replacing them?
You're probably going to,
because isn't everyone who's like eligible to be active already active?
They're probably going to call somebody up, like a pitcher.
Bro, if Nick Nelson comes up, I'm gonna like suffocate myself.
It'll probably be like a Nick Nelson or like Brooks Kriske, those kind of guys. Like nothing. It's not gonna be anything. It's nothing to look forward to, is what I'm trying to explain to you. Like, it's not gonna be like Dietrich is not coming up. Like, it's not Gittins is probably not coming up. You
just had to say it. You had to say the D word.
I'm being honest.
No, but seriously, like, if we're looking at like 2 open roster spots right now, right? Sure, maybe you want to use like one of them for like a Nick Nelson or something, like keep another arm in the bullpen. But why not use that other roster spot and just see what a guy like Chris Gittins could do? Or hear me out. If you still want to bring up 2 more pitchers, bro, literally just DFA Ford and then bring Gittins up. It's not like you're losing any pitchers on the roster, bro. Bring up Chris Gittins.
You know what? I wish the Yankees, and this is gonna kind of sound stupid, but let me explain. I wish the Yankees would manage their team.
Stupid,
thank you. But hear me out. I wish the Yankees would manage their roster more like a video game rather than like being so like tied down to certain players. Like, they have such an emotional connection to some of these players that they almost don't want to get rid of them, or like I don't like that. I don't like the fact that, sometimes you want to handle things with class, and you want to handle things and build relationships with people, because that will help, like when free agents and like, oh, the Yankees handle things with class, and a lot of people speak to that. But like for instance, a guy like Mike Ford, right? You love his personality, grew up a Yankee fan, grew up in the area, like all that stuff is cute and nice. But if you're not performing, I'm sorry, I don't care about any of that.
No, like, I know.
It's cool.
But that should never be taken into account.
But I'm telling you right now, I really do, and I can't. I'm not in the rooms where they're making these decisions, so I don't know. But it really feels like they hold on to certain guys because of like emotional connections to some of them, and I think that even that extends onto like the coaches, like Aaron Boone. Like, Aaron Boone's a nice story. He's a great guy, all this great stuff, but he's underperformed in his 4 years as a manager. And the first 2 years, he won 100 games both. That's great. No one cares if you don't win a World Series or even get to the World Series. So, like, none of that really matters. Is like, I just feel like they hold on to emotional connections and value that more than like we're putting on the best 9 guys on the field, no matter who it is. We don't care.
But that's my thing. It's like
another perfect example: paying less for Jameson Taillon because he's Garrett Cole's buddy, rather than packaging more to get Musgrove and Taillon. I think they were going to get Taillon regardless, but like, no, we're not going to try to go that far for Musgrove because he's not really that close to Garrett Cole. Like, that's stuff like that.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It's like, it's weird in that sense, right? Like, they do have emotional connections to some guys. Brett Gardner, Aaron Boone. Clearly, Marcus Timms is one of those guys too. But then again, at the same time, it's weird because if you kind of use that like emotional connection story, who had a better emotional connection story to the New York Yankees than Dellin Betances? And they treated him like garbage. So it's like, at the end of the day, it's like the loyalty with certain players and certain guys, like we get like the whole Mike Ford thing, like the pride of Princeton, right? Like, he's a big left-handed hitter who's fun. He grew a mustache, whatever. The Yankees refused to send him down. But why does he get so much loyalty when a guy like Dellin Betances was like treated by trash by the organization, like with the whole arbitration thing and everything? It's just odd to me. And also, a guy like Tommy Kahnle, bro.
Yeah. No, yeah.
He got pissed on by the organization.
It's certain guys. Like, it's not everybody. They have clear favorites, and I think you look at a guy like Clint Frazier as another one of those guys who, if he was like had the personality that the Yankees like coveted, he would have so many more opportunities. He would have been called up way earlier. He wouldn't have been sent down and up and down and up like he had been in previous years. And this year he wouldn't be treated like a platoon player. Even though, listen, I'm not giving Frazier any excuses. I think he's been pretty bad this year. But I think a lot of that is attributed to the fact that he's been completely mishandled in all the years that he's been here. He should have been up probably a year after he got traded to the Yankees, and they made him wait and wait and wait. Like he should have been called up right around maybe a little after Aaron Judge was called up. I think he was more ready than Tyler Austin. They called up Austin and Judge right after. I believe that was right after A-Rod retired. It was like the day after.
Which still makes me sick. I had this major debate with Dan about that. That still makes me sick to my stomach.
They treated him terrible on the way out as well. Like even the ceremony that they had, it was like pouring rain. It was horrible. I felt bad. But and if anybody is an A-Rod hater, you're in the wrong stream because these two guys are A-Rod's biggest fans. So just let you know.
I love A-Rod, bro. Screw J-Lo, by the way.
Yeah, absolute loser. But yeah, no, I just feel like
dude.
Clint Frazier and Aaron Judge were raking together in AAA. Like I remember there was this whole thing. Everyone was so excited. Is the future of our outfield, right fielder, left fielder, and there's pictures of them like doing the forearm bump after home runs. They were going back to back. Frazier was hitting triples, and just it was so exciting. And they were like, well, yeah, not yet. Like, and then the next season, yeah, just not yet. We still have Clint Frazier. I mean, we still have Brett Gardner and like Jacoby Ellsbury and these guys. So it's been a very frustrating way that they've treated Clint Frazier, and he's a perfect another, I don't even say perfect because there's so many, example of like a guy that they don't have an emotional connection to. So like when the time comes and if they have an opportunity to trade him, I think they will, or just like let him go, so.
Probably. But I see a couple of people talking in the chat. Frank said this team will not make the playoffs. I disagree. But the question I do want to answer is from Woj Tech. They said, what record do you expect based on what we've seen? I'm going to be honest. I said this previously in the stream. I still think the Yankees are winning the American League East, and I still think they're winning the World Series. I'm not going to kind of cancel my preseason predictions while we're still in May. However, like obviously it's not looking too pretty right now.
May's almost over, bro.
I know. That's why I said that very lightly. It's kind of getting to a scary point where we don't know what Yankees team we're going to be seeing moving forward and whether or not they could really keep up this consistency, right? Because Tampa's getting hot at the right time. I think Boston's cooled down a little bit, but they're still winning games. So I think as far as like a final record, I still have faith in them winning above 90 games. If they would have to go on an insane streak to kind of win 100 games this season, but I think 90 plus is still the way to go. No.
Yeah, I mean, I think they'll win 90 games just because they're that much better. They'll beat up on some bad teams. They'll win some good, but it's like weird. Like they'll sweep a team like the White Sox, and then obviously now like they've lost 4 of their last 5. Because they lost 2 to the Blue Jays and now 2 to the Tigers. So I think they've lost 4 of the last
4 or 5. 4 or
so
5.
Like this inconsistency leads me to believe that they're going to be a lot closer to like in the 80s than the 100s. So I'd say probably like I could see them winning 92 games, go 92 and 70. I'm going to be very honest. Currently, I'll say this, currently constructed, I do not see them winning the American League East. I think the Tampa Bay Rays and the Red Sox have shown that they're legit still. The Red Sox I kind of doubted. I think they're going to go through like their slump soon or at some point. I think they'll return to like the mean shortly, but I just genuinely believe that they are way more. But first of all, they're way more. These are the things that matter in baseball, for being honest. Like because baseball is such a volatile game, if you're not bought in with your manager or your coach or your entire coaching staff, that matters, and it shows in the field. Boston is so bought into Alex Cora and everything that he stands for, and it shows the way they play. Look at how they played last year versus this year. The Blue Jays are still a really talented team, so even if they finish behind us, they're going to give us trouble. Like they're not going to be an easy few wins here and there like they have in the past. And like the Rays, we've beaten them now in Tropicana Field, but like they got extremely hot after that. So I'm really interested to see how they play them in this upcoming series at the stadium. But bro, like I really just believe they have a long road to overcome legitimately 3 teams in the American League East. Like,
yeah,
and I right now would trust. I would if you're telling me Yankees versus Blue Jays, in a 7-game series, I'm taking the Blue Jays, if I'm being completely honest. just currently constructed, the way teams are playing, the way that we look on offense, the way our bullpen is not as strong as it was in the beginning of the season. Like, I just don't think we're better than those 3 teams right now. I think we will be at some point, hopefully, but right now I don't see us winning the American League East. I do think if they make a move at the deadline, whether it's to shore up the outfield or add starting pitching, then sure. But right now, no.
It's fair. I mean, it's definitely fair to say that. However, at the same time, it's just complicated, right? Because you look at the Yankees and you would expect them to, like you said, kind of beat up on the bad teams. But now here we are facing a bad team and we're kind of getting wrecked by the Tigers. So you don't really know what to expect going down the stretch. I'm hoping that they can make some sort of move that'll like get them hot again. Let's not forget, if we kind of want to put the entire Yankees into a small sample size, look at how bad Aaron Judge was for a span of like 5 games, right? And then all of a sudden, like he kind of lit things up again. And since then, he's been one of the best players in Major League Baseball. So I know it's a really poor analogy, but like I'm hoping the Yankees could maybe do that, right? Maybe they need to like hit rock bottom once again, like they are now, and kind of have like these five games of just being absolutely terrible. And then kind of just kick things into gear. I don't know.
Well, they could definitely like listen. They've been one of the best teams in baseball over the past I forget how many weeks it's been, but like over the last like month and change, since their terrible start, they were one of the better teams in baseball. So they have the potential to do it. And we always said like probably around June they're gonna go on this stretch where we forget how bad they were in April. I think that's still very possible. Because they do have all this talent on their team. But I just think when, like we always say, when it matters most, what are they going to show? Like the play we're seeing, and I hate to bring the Knicks up again, but like we see with the Knicks in the playoffs right now, like the playoffs reveal who you truly are. So if you have, I love the Knicks and I think they had a great regular season, but their problem all season was that they didn't have offensive consistency. And in the playoffs right now, they're showing that they don't have that real offensive consistency. I think when you get the Yankees into the playoffs, they're going to reveal themselves as a team who don't hit in clutch moments. And that's where
but they always do. They always do.
A lot of our problems come in. We don't play consistent defense, like all these different things. So
fair. But listen, shout out to William with the $5 dono. Appreciate you, William. You are the man. Hal, either step down or sell. Cashman, Boone, Tim's, buy. Front office and scouting department, tune up. Some players do need to be traded. Average net minus 180. I don't know what the average minus 180 means, but I agree with like the Hal, either step down or sell. I think it's kind of coming to the point where now obviously we don't know what goes on in the front office, but like we always say, it seems like Hal Steinbrenner treats the Yankees like a business endeavor. And he doesn't really care whether they win or not. So I think if you don't care whether or not your baseball team wins, like either step down or sell. I would love, we say this all, Jalen, I feel like me and you talk about this every time you're on, but I would love to have an owner like Steve Cohen, right? A guy who kind of walks in and just wants to win from day one. And obviously the Mets aren't doing too good, but they did make moves this offseason to put themselves in a winning position. And I believe they're still in first place in the NL East. Now that is like a product of the division being so bad, but still, like it just goes to show like they want to win over there. But also shout out to Jesus Chavez with the $5 dono. Appreciate you, Jesus. He says, I would set up a trade with Garcia, Frazier, and Higgy and try to get a pitcher and another infielder or outfielder and call up Chirinos. I don't know who you'd get for that package though.
I don't know why you need another infielder. An outfielder, yeah, but I don't think I wouldn't trade my catcher who's been, I wouldn't mess with my catching situation right now. Even I don't care if Gary and Higgy don't get another hit this entire season. Like, my thing is the pitching has been so good, you don't want to mess with that. It's kind of like if in football, like you don't trade for a center in the middle of the season. Like it's hard to get acquainted, or a quarterback in the middle of the season. It's hard to like kind of get acquainted that quickly because you build the rapport with these guys. And our pitching has obviously been our strong suit, and I don't want to mess with that at all.
Fair.
I am all for getting another outfielder and pitcher though, but I don't think you dip from that package to get that.
Scherzer and Schwarber, anybody? But
I wouldn't want Kyle Schwarber. But at this rate, sure, I guess.
No, yeah, it's better than Brett Gardner. But listen, shout out to Stevie with the $5 dono. Appreciate you, Stevie. He says, see my previous message. He says, I got a question. Why wouldn't Boone play Stan and Gio today? Stan needs to get his timing back and needs to play, and Gio has been hot. this is my thing. We talked about this, kind of open things up. Stanton wasn't in the lineup today. He did go, I think, 0 for 5 yesterday with 4 Ks. But who cares? Like, it was his first game back from injury. Like, you need the guy to get as many plate appearances as possible to kind of get in the groove of things once again. Let's not forget how hot Stanton was before he got injured. So I don't know what the reasoning for Gio was to sit, but it's just so illogical at this point. I never know what's going on with the Yankees, especially with like sitting guys, injury situations. We're always in the dark.
Yeah, and honestly, like, I've come to think about it, and I'm seeing what Joe Girardi's going through in Philly, where like he's kind of been keeping some of the stuff from the media as far as like injuries and stuff like that. Why he's not playing certain guys, and there's a weird like thin line between keeping your business, and like if we make a decision as an organization, I'm not obligated to tell you. And then like with the Yankees, and that's why I feel Joe Girardi is doing, and I respect that.
Yeah.
Like, just because you're the media and it's your job to report on things that go on with us doesn't mean I need to tell you every single thing. If Bryce Harper's dealing with some stuff on his knee, I don't know what's going on. I haven't read too much into it, but like, just to say hypothetically, if Bryce Harper is having knee issues and he needs to sit for 2 games, and I don't want to tell the media that, or I don't want to give my opponent a competitive advantage by knowing that this guy's not going to be in the lineup, so maybe they start this. Like, there's a lot of reasons why I might not want to say that.
Yeah.
Then I don't have to, and I respect that. But what the Yankees do, it's almost like misleading, and they kind of like keep things a secret because they don't want fans to overreact, and they don't want, they don't want to put out this idea that these guys are like injury prone. Like the whole thing where Judge was like, I'm 100%, and then he's on IL in the next 2 days. There's a lot of weird things. Or like Giancarlo Stanton coming back from the IL off of a stupid injury, and then he has to sit the day after he comes back, and he can't now all of a sudden play. He can't play the outfield anymore. They say he's going to play the outfield, and then he strains his quad. Like, all these weird like diversions from the truth, rather than just saying like, listen, Clint Frazier is out because he's out. I said he's out. That's what it is. Like, I didn't want to put him in the lineup, and the reasons are undisclosed, and they stay between us. That's fine. Don't say
it's the circus that's annoying.
Clint Frazier's dealing with some neck stuff. Like, it makes me want to punch you in the throat. Luke.
No,
Voigt,
and also, bro, the whole like Aroldis Chapman. Oh, sometimes Mother Nature calls. Boone, shut up, bro. Like, just shut up.
I'm of the complete belief that if you, as a team and as a manager, especially of a baseball team, you don't need to explain everything to the media or to the fans. Yeah. I understand that. As a fan, I'd want to know what's going on. Like, if my favorite player is hurt, I would like to know that. But like, I get it. Just be straight up and honest. Like, Clint's not in the lineup because I didn't put him in the lineup. If you want to ask Clint why he's not in the lineup, go ahead and ask him. And I've had that discussion with Clint already, and Clint should know what to say in that situation. If he wants to tell you he's injured, he can go ahead and tell you. I'm not going to disclose this. But there should be a group understanding of how we go about our business. And it just seems like guys are not on the same page, because Boone is disclosing, he's saying this guy's injured here, but I'm fine, I'm really okay, like I could play today, but then tomorrow I'm out of the lineup, and I'm just dealing with some stuff. I'm just sore because I traveled. Like, it's annoying.
Hashtag J for manager. But also, shout out to Jesus Chavez with the $2 dono. Appreciate you, Jesus. He says Sanchez over Higgy any day. Offensively, I'd agree. Defensively, probably not. We already know that Higgy works well with plenty of guys in the Yankees rotation. However, Jalen, before we do wrap things up for this postgame, lengthy postgame, appreciate everybody for sticking by. But I do want to talk about this, right? Now that Kluber's out, Higgy was Kluber's personal catcher. Tyone's been struggling. How much do you think it would hurt to maybe start using Higgy as Tyone's personal catcher for the time being?
I have said before, and I know I get a little brushback for it, I think Higgy should be our starting catcher. Period.
Like, every day.
Every day. I think Gary should play as the backup, so like, he'll still play. But the reps it's kind of been like 60-40, I'd say. Like, it's not really so much in Gary's direction right now. So
yeah.
I don't think it'd be a huge change. I just think Kyle Higashioka should get more reps than Gary, because he just seems to be more valuable back there. And I respect Gary for staying. He almost seems like all the talk around him doesn't get to him as much as it should. Like, he still shows up. He's still cheering on his team. He doesn't seem like down and out. So I do respect that. However, I just don't think he's starting catcher level for a team that's competing to win a World Series. Like sometimes he just does, and they both do. They both have these instances where they just get lazy and they don't want to block. They don't want to, like be as capable. They're not living up to how capable they. Let me reset. They don't play as well as they
spin that back.
Because like they just get lazy sometimes. Like even Higgy does it. He focuses too much on framing and he'll drop a pitch. So I think we have a hole at catcher, period. But Higgy clearly works better with our starting pitching, and that matters to me more than their offensive output. So
yeah, and listen. With that being said, also shout out to the $2 dono. Appreciate you, C-Wag. 3 total hits, but Boone didn't bother pinch hitting. True. But with that being said, appreciate everybody for stopping by today. Appreciate all the donos. Even though the Yankees have had a rough couple of games, they're gonna be fine. They're gonna be fine. Still haven't making the postseason. I don't know. We'll see. But tomorrow the game starts at 1. Stay tuned for that. We'll be going live at 12 for the Yankees pregame, and we'll be live for the postgame. So be sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn on post notifications for more. We're going live before and after every single Yankees game this season. Stay happy, stay healthy, stay safe. Peace out, everybody. Have a great night. Peace.